Hello and welcome to my channel. This is LD, and here we talk about things from photography to watches and some other stuff. Today I want to talk about something that's been on my mind lately, which is legacy watches. Now, this is something different. Here, it's just my opinion. It's not AI based, so I don't read from an AI script. I pretty much come up with things off the top of my head or what's on my mind, and I try to do some research. Not an expert, just going through the journey, just like a lot of people who just come to this video or to this channel, doing my research, trying to find the next last watch. um and currently right now, this is a big thing for me. As I'm recording this, we are in the month of March, and the challenge with the month of March is that in April, one of the biggest events in the watch industry is coming up, and that is Watches and Wonders. And we are expecting tons of new releases, new watches, movements, colorways, everything. We're expecting tons of this coming up. And because of that, currently almost every, I guess, watch influencer, whatever you want to call them, are having their predictions, what they would like to see, all these other videos or content, because it's a slow news day. They're not talking about anything that's actually being released currently. That being said, for myself, I just got some good news that I have a grandchild on the way, and I will say this: it probably came at the wrong time. When I say this came at the wrong time, as I told myself I'm not buying any more watches. As a matter of fact, if you guys are like me, you watch a lot of watch YouTube. I watch a lot of watch YouTube. You may see me in the comments on some other YouTubers' channels. So I do consume a lot of watch YouTube. And one of the things that, especially over the past year, I have been really cognizant about are YouTubers who are not only trying to get you to buy another watch. I won't talk about just one more watch, even though I just said. Are YouTubers that are trying to get you to buy another watch, but are YouTubers that are promoted or encouraged or influenced to sell you a watch in some form or fashion. And while I believe that there's truly nothing wrong with the grift, that hey, if you can make your money from this platform, make your money from this platform. For me, when I started looking for watches, I was looking for advice, information, genuine reviews, watches in hand, things that I cannot see normally, and to actually learn about watches that I would never even think about or even consider, and then see them on this platform and like, okay, it's worth it. Let me go check that out. In the course of the past year, I have been fortunate enough to have three main local, actually four local outlets to where I can, within 2 or 3 hours drive to, see over 100 different brands in the metal and make that decision on if this watch was on the landscape, or the horizon, I should say. So in the past year, I have kind of come about to think about, how do I wear watches? What kind of watches, or how does watches fit in my rotation, in my daily rotation, in my weekend rotation, and whatnot? And with the news of my grandchild coming, I said this is a great opportunity to get a watch and create an heirloom, create a family heirloom. And I think that watches are a great way to do that, because they're small and they're easy to be passed down from generation to generation, even if your future generation is not into the same timepiece. It's the historical artifact of the watch. Currently, I have a 45, going on 46-year-old watch that was passed on from a father. It's, at that time, it was a 31 millimeter. It is too small for me to wear it on a regular, but I will wear it as a dress watch every once in a while. So I wanted to do something like that for my own son, or my own grandson. Now, my son, I bought him his second watch, technically, because I bought him a watch for his 16th birthday, and he's lost it since then. So I'm not buying you anything else after that. But for my son, I wanted to buy a watch that I could wear for the next 2 or 3 years. When he turns 30 or 35, depending on how much I like the watch, then I could pass it down to him, and then he could pass it down to his son. And with the grandchild coming, expected end of April, beginning of May, I said, man, this would be a great opportunity to find a watch that can last for 30 to 50 years. That's one of the biggest things. Minimal maintenance, and is also a watch that can take abuse, take days and days and days of abuse. Now, as I was saying, one of the things that I really wanted is a watch that I can walk in that day and get the paperwork signed and everything for that. So we know that instantly cancels out any kind of Rolex that I had, unless I was going to go gray market, which doesn't really give the same kind of, I could do that, but it doesn't give the same kind of value to me. So then that left me down to pretty much, I went through dozens and dozens of watch brands, watch types. I went everything from Citizen, because I thought about getting the Citizen Eco Drive, the one, which is actually at a great price and great value, but it's a little bit too dressy for my son to be able to wear on a daily. Then I looked at, Omega had, everybody knows the Seamaster Professional 300. Very few people know about the Seamaster 300 Heritage, and which is it's smaller, not as chunky, wears fairly decent. But then I started looking at the prices of those, and they're now up to $8,000-$9,000 now, $7,000-$9,000. The No Time to Die, also a great watch, light titanium, but you're up there. So, and I kind of did not want to go beyond $5,000. That's kind of was my hard limit, is $5,000, because above that I start looking at vintage Explorer 2s or vintage GMT Masters, or even dress watch. You can get into vintage Pateks for $6,000-$7,000, just about that. So now, where does that leave me at? A watch that can last 30 to 50 years, minimal maintenance, and it was under $5,000, or right about. Grand Seiko, there was a lot of Grand Seikos out there, but most of them had, I want to say it's the 9R movement, which is more of the quartz line. I would want something that was either a 9S or 9F. I want something that's either the automatic or the spring drive. And there was a GMT, but I will say this, even though they're not the most comfortable on a NATO strap, it transforms the watch completely and makes it look somewhat more rugged. But Grand Seiko, Panerai, so now we're talking about straps. Panerai was another good one. On a NATO strap, it was really something that was worth thinking about. Now, I will say this. Why not Microbrands? Because what I finally decided with is probably driven by a Microbrand. And the main reason why I did not decide on a Microbrand was because of prominence. Part of a legacy heirloom, Waltham was around for a long time. Grumman was around for a long time. Hamilton's been around for a very long time. Most of these watch companies, Longines was another one I considered. So Longines is one of those that have been considered. It's not just that they've been around a long time, it's that when it comes to 10, 20, 30 years from now, and it's time for somebody to work on that watch, the question is going to be, will they be able to find a service network to work on that watch? That brings me down even more. That brings me down to a very, very small group of watches. And what I pretty much came down to, great value, under $5,000, can wear every day, long service, prominence, and it's the prominence part I don't think that you get with. That is the trade-off to Microbrands. You get amazing watches for $2,000, $1,500, $500, but you still don't get the prominence. A $500 or $1,000 Microbrand competes very heavily against a $1,000 Timex. And people are saying, why would you pay $1,000 for a Timex? But if you look at the Marine M1A and you compare that against a lot of $1,000 microbrands, that Timex does a lot of stuff that $1,000 microbrand has not done yet. So that is one of those things to where I said, when it comes to prominence, Christopher Ward is another great one. I put Christopher Ward into that kind of Norcane type realm, to where a $5,000 Norcane, a $35,000 or $3,000 Christopher Ward are pretty much very close to aesthetics and whatnot. But very few people know Norcane. Very few people outside of the watch world know Christopher Ward. And for that price point, I can get a Breitling, and Breitland's been around. Now, the Breitlands, the challenge is that as a legacy piece, Breitlands were huge. And I figured that being that large, there's no guarantee that even though I could wear a 45 or 46 millimeter, my son can't wear a 45 or 46 millimeter, and there's no guarantee that his son will be able to do that. So I want to keep it below 42, 43 and less, and then very slim profile. Once again, bringing back to Longines. And that's where I was at. So it's not Breitling. Cartier, love Cartier, would be a great Santos, but you breathe on the Santos, it scratches. And for somebody that works, in a blue collar field, that ain't gonna work for my son too much. So not Cartier, not Grand Seiko. It's not Longines. In my opinion, right now on the market, the best value for money for a legacy watch would have to be Tudor. And with that, something to where I don't think I would have to worry about for the next 30, 40, or 50 years is a Tudor Pelagos. And with that, in the Tudor Pelagos, I have decided to go with the Tudor FXD GMT. Pretty much the closest thing I've seen out there. And if you know something, you can correct me, because I still got another month, so put it in the comments. The Tudor GMT FXD, with the exception of not having a bracelet because it is designed to wear on straps or NATO straps, for $5,000, it is effectively almost 95% in some respects to a Rolex Explorer 2, which cost twice as much. Literally, I can buy one for myself and one for my son, and I would still be less than the Explorer 2. So that is a big thing for me. That is part of the value proposition. And went to the boutique. They did not have any Tudor FXD GMTs, but they had the navy. Tried the navy on. It fit really, really comfortably. And the strap was a little bit too short. And this is one of the reasons why I do like the tandem buckle strap as opposed to the Velcro straps, because the Velcro straps, they like if you expose Velcro, it just looks fairly sloppy in my opinion. You can always get a longer strap on a tandem buckle strap and get a leather or a rubber or something heavier. I've seen from the reviews that on the FXD GMT, that is one of the downfalls on it, that as soon as you start wearing it, it starts wearing out the pinholes. But I would probably get a thicker either rubber or leather strap on there. So pretty much my order that I came up with was the Tudor, the Panerai, and then the Grand Seiko. And that's where I ended up at. The Longines Spirit would have been good for me, and it was at 3,000-ish. It's a great value. I just don't know if it's a better value than if I went with a Tudor, the Tudor Royale with cheese, the Tudor Royale or the 1926 or whatnot. Speaking of 1926, and before I wrap this up, this year marks 100 years of Tudor. So I expect next month at Watches and Wonders that they will have released some kind of model that signifies that. That also does play a part in what watch I do choose to get at the in end of April or beginning of May. And that is why it is so important to have a good relationship with a boutique or an AD or whatnot, to where you actually have that relationship with a sales advisor so that you can get on the list right away, or you can go ahead and purchase one, because you never know what will be hype and what won't be hype. You just got to buy what you like. And that is what the most important thing is, because something that is nobody likes right now, you buy it, and then 2 months later, some random guy on the Oscars is wearing a watch, and then all of a sudden everybody wants that watch. Last but not least, what is the one watch I think, prediction time, may change my mind about the Pelagos GMT, FXD GMT? Is if they come out with an Ultra GMT, because I was sitting on the fence between the Ultra, a little bit bulky, and I know that would be even more bulkier, but it's a very lightweight, very comfortable. I probably would end up with an Ultra GMT if possible. Now, that being said, tell me what you think about this idea of a legacy watch and heirloom watch. Is it just a reason for me to just spend money to buy another watch, or is it something that's very valuable that there is a little bit of romanticism to it, to where I can wear a watch for 2 or 3 years, pass it down to his dad, who wears it for another 20 years, who passes it on to him, and then when he passes out, he sees the day that he's engraved, or the day that he was born, engraved on it, and all the paperwork to that watch is from the day that he was born. Tell me what you think about that idea. What suggestions do you have? Until the next time, like a fat kid in dodgeball, I'm out.